Anne Margaret with Raise the Vibration, and I am back with another author interview from the book Raise the Vibration, a weekly guide for alchemizing the human experience. And today I'm so excited to bring in Yuko Kudo, who is a dear friend of mine. Yuko, I met first at the Giving Tree Yoga Studio. She was a student of mine initially, took our teacher training, so I got to know her very well. Taught at our studio, dear friend, with just the most generous and loving and fun, lighthearted person. She has so many facets to her in her artistry. She's written a one-woman show, written a couple things. I wanted to have hand it over to you so you can tell us a little bit more about what you do. But I'm so excited to introduce you to everybody who's watching, either live or in replay, because Yuko is one of the authors featured in our, and I actually have a physical book now to show.
Yeah.
Woo! It's so
Woo!
exciting. So
This is exciting.
we just had that launch party yesterday in the East Village with all the authors and dear friends, and you were there. You even showed up early with Michael to help out. So it was so awesome, you guys, and just it was such a special evening. So welcome, Yuko. I hand it over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, girl.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh my God, it's such an honor, especially now that we have the physical book in our hand. This
Oh,
is so
I
exciting.
know. I just tell him like, is this real? It smells real.
And it smells real.
Yeah.
And we're gonna dub it in the oils.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. My name is Yuko Kudo, and as Margaret mentioned, I am a professional multi-hyphenated human and an artist based in New York. And I love it too. And I am currently in New York, based in New York, but I am originally from Japan, and I moved to the United States in 2003, almost 20 years
Oh my
ago.
gosh.
Yeah, almost
Wow.
20 years ago. And this year is actually half of my life here in the States and half of my life in Japan.
Wow.
So yeah, it's wild.
It's a big year.
And when I moved, I wanted to be the voice of Disney princess.
Oh
And
yeah.
I wanted to be the next Mariah
Who
Carey.
didn't really? Who didn't
I
really?
know,
Oh,
right?
Mariah Carey, I had that too on
Yep.
my list. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I really, really loved Sister Act 1 and 2. And I'm
Oh
here.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and tell us about your projects and what you do with that. I want them to
Yeah,
hear about that.
absolutely. So there are multiple projects that I'm working on. As I mentioned, I'm a multi-hyphenated. The hyphen keep
Human,
going.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, right now, one of the very exciting projects that I'm working on is I partner with Stop AAPI Hate. So we actually created an anthem, and now I'm editing the music video for them.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, it's going to be
Wow.
coming out sometime very soon. And I'm also working on the documentary called Dear Asian Girls, which is about theater and Asian representation. I'm super
Wow.
excited to complete, hopefully by the end of the year, and we'll share that with you when it's done.
Amazing. What was your inspiration for that?
Yeah, the inspiration for that was there's so many amazing artists in my circle right away. And,
Yeah.
it's easy for people to see Broadway stars, even from the Asian community, and say they are amazing. But there's so much more than that. And there are so many things that immigrant artists only experience. There are so many things only Asian women experience in this
Yeah.
industry. And I wanted to really hear from the folks who are going through and people who are in the midst of it, and they're really finding out the way and what does it mean for them to be successful. And during this time of pandemic, the anti-Asian hate crime has been really sad, and I wanted to send a message for this youth and like a little Asian girl to say, you just be you. Don't worry about what other people say, just be you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's beautiful. And that is kind of a great lead in to like your story because I mean 52 authors contributed to this book. Those of you who don't know, Yuko is one of them, and it's kind of like a chicken soup meets the artist way. So you have your stories and you've got your workbook exercises, journaling prompts, and every single one of these stories just it was so hard to edit through like tears streaming through my
I
down my face. Like
bet.
I'm like, how do I? Because everybody who's involved in this book is just touches me so deeply, inspires me, is a multifaceted human in so many ways, not just trying to be one thing to be accepted into what people would deem as acceptable in this
Right.
society or any society, but just free to be themselves and hold that space for others. And we really felt that at the party last night, you know, like
Yeah.
that was just, the energy was incredible. And your story is so beautiful. It's, I mean, I have it right here. Finally, it's called The Journey Home is the theme of that particular chapter or that week. There's 52 chapters, 52 weeks in a year. Coincidence? I don't think so. And the title of her story is Finding My Way Home. All right, it's very cool. I don't know if you guys can see that. But it's a, you know, it's a story of, you know, that I think all of us can relate to on some level, because we get domesticated into thinking that we should be this way or should be this way, or this is what success look like, or this is what a Disney princess looks like,
Right.
or whatever, you know. And it's like, well, hold on, like, can we just come back home to ourselves? Because when we do that, we have freedom, we have alignment, we have, you know, everybody may not like you, but at least you like yourself, like you are your number one fan, you know. It's,
Right.
if you're trying to be someone else, you might have everybody liking you, but you know. So I want you to tell me why this story, because I know you, I've known you for a long time, many, many years now. And you have such a resilient spirit. You always bring a positive energy and an uplifting frequency to any conversation, any
Mm.
group of people. That's just who you are. Everybody knows that, who knows you. That's why you should follow her and learn more about what she does. But I want you to tell me why this story, because you could have picked a lot of things, and this is really kind of the foundation too for this documentary of your personal journey of embracing yourself.
Right. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for it.
Yeah.
And the CC said, as are you on Margaret. So I'm plus and wanting on that.
Ah, thank you, Stacey. Ah, so good to see you yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, baby. Yeah.
Why did I pick this story? Right. It was very interesting because when I actually had book in my hand yesterday and reading it, I it was a moment that I chose this story. So interesting, right? Because
Yeah.
so much had happened in the last 2 years, and I I couldn't even remember why I chose that particular path. And 2000. I think you asked me right around 2020, 2019, like in the cusp of it, and my initial instinct was like I wanted to share this story, I bet. Right. Did my very first solo show, which is a part of this story, Hold My Heart. That was 2019 August. And it was a huge catalyst for me in my healing journey. And as you would read the book and read my story, you will hear it. But I had so much self-hatred at me. Like, why am I 4'10"? Why am I Asian? Why am I immigrant? Why my English is not good? Like, why, and all of that. And I looked for belonging in so many different places. I was a part of so many different communities, whatever that means for you. And I was surrounded by so many beautiful people, and I'm always in a part of the group. I never felt the connection, the deep connection and the longing that I wanted to feel. And I feel like I'm here, but I don't know if I'm here. I don't know if you can relate to that feeling, but
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
something that really strong for me. And in doing this show and writing the script, it really allowed me to translate what was in my head, dump it all in the paper, and process it and arranged it, played a little bit of Tetris, and I had a lot of healing process happen, and then I put it back in my heart by the time the rehearsals start. And when the rehearsal starts, it was a whole bunch of, okay, you thought that was the one thing, and let's try it again. So
Wow.
it was a lot of moving through, but it was such a beautiful experience because we don't get a lot of opportunity to take a time and reflect on your own story like that. And I'm just so grateful that I had that experience. And by the time I completed the show, it really came to me. It's not really about the physical home, and it is a huge part of it. The physical home is a huge part of what
Hmm.
home means. But if you don't feel at home in your own physical space, you could still be disconnected. You could still be uprooted.
Mm.
So where do you find home? In the deep inside within you, that's where you need to find it. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. It's so true. I mean, somebody who has lived away for 20 years from where your home your physical home
Mm-hmm.
initially was. And I just going back to my physical home, where Colorado, where I'm from, after
Right.
20 years in New York. I mean, I can certainly relate to it. I think the readers are going to read this, and I mean, you did the opportunity with the book is to alchemize whatever you're going through, and with every one of us having our own experience of not feeling at home in our
Mm-hmm.
bodies, not feeling at home in, whatever we have going on in our families or our communities or our profession. I mean, that is the most essential thing is for us to be able to find our own way. And that's what makes you sparkle, like, because you've done that. I mean, you just are so your own person, Yuko. And I think the book gives the opportunity for people to alchemize their own experience, but you like you wrote a one woman show. You put it out there in front of everybody, exposed, like, I mean, could you be more transparent than writing a one woman show about your the pain and the challenge and everything you overcame? And but I mean, what I read in the story that you wrote for this book, and then just knowing you personally, in doing all of that work, you're like the epitome of alchemizing your circumstances, and you're so committed to coming back home. Yuko is amazing. I totally agree.
Oh, thanks,
Couldn't agree
Emily.
more. You've got a
Yeah,
lot
and
of
I love the
fans.
word you use, alchemizing, right? Because alchemizing, it has to start with what you have. It's an equal transaction. Like
Yeah,
your energy is you already have. Otherwise, there is no alchemy in it. So I think
yeah.
that's such a beautiful way to put this transformation.
Yeah, thank you. I that word just sticks with me so much because we've heard it like with the book The Alchemist, and we kind of talked about it a little bit. I wanted to bring it more mainstream to like have it be a conversation because what we've been really looking at a lot over the last several years in our country and around the world at what's going wrong. And then it
Right.
puts us in a negative mindset. If we talk about what's going wrong, then even we don't have to declare that we disagree or that's the wrong thing in order to feel empowered for our own truth. And
Right.
so, alchemy, extracting the gold from a seemingly worthless thing or experience, conversation, or whatever it is, that's up to us. That's really up to us. And that's the miracle of our divine ability to create.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and I want to ask you, like, what do you want your readers to take away from this? Because I certainly got so much about like how am I not at home with who I am and finding and I mean the Giving Tree, we created that Giving Tree yoga studio in order to feel like there was a home for anybody who needed one. That's why
Mm.
we did that, and we needed a home too, like feeling like someplace that was inclusive, someplace we could go and not feel like we were wearing the wrong yoga pants or weren't worshiping the right Krishna or whatever, like we just wanted to feel empowered to be um, our own person. So what do you? I got so much out of your story, but I want you to put in your own words. What do you want your readers?
Yeah, and I also want to
Yeah.
like chime in on what you said about creating the Giving Tree Studio as it is, right? And towards the end of the Giving Tree experience, it like I realized that many of my students are international, and that's because I am, right? Like you're
Yeah,
attracting the people, and that really
that's
felt
great.
and this sometimes like a mom and daughter would come in and mom don't really understand English, but I'm here with mom. Like I thought that was
Oh,
such a beautiful thing. And so like
gorgeous.
you've really created such a beautiful space and
Mm,
physically and also virtually and just energetically, right? So I just want to
thank you.
thank you for inviting me into your
Oh yeah.
space. And it's been such a
Thank you,
beautiful
Yuko.
journey. Of course.
Thank you, girl.
What I want people to take from my story, I want everybody to embrace the journey. And I've been really toying with the idea of there is no such thing as balance. And that a friend
Mm,
of mine say it, I want to look harmony in my life.
mm,
The harmony is ever changing, right? It's not
mm.
one way or the other. You don't have to choose one or the other, but there are so many different ways to create harmony. Sometimes dissonance is also the part of the
That's
harmony, and I
right.
love that. So I would love to share that perspective with the folks who are trying to find balance or find some type of um, peace in their life right now. I think that's so important. And also, if you or anybody who's watching this, who's listening to this, feel like and really resonate with my story or my journey of finding home, like it sounds very cliche, but sometimes what you hate the most is your superpower.
Totally.
Yeah, what you hate the most is your superpower. And
Yes.
sometimes find the way to alchemize it.
Yep.
And sometimes you need to weaponize it because smile is a weapon,
Mm.
joy is a weapon that can really change the world.
Yeah. Sometimes the destruction is part of the most beautiful process or most essential process to creation.
Yeah, indeed, indeed.
I love that. I love that. And I on your I matched chakras, of course, because I'm the chakra queen, like obsessed with chakras forever.
Obviously.
Yes, and your chakra is the first. It's the first, and I feel like I mean that was an obvious selection for me after I read your story because it just felt like most of our dysfunction exists as human beings because we reject the nature of this human experience as a
Right.
whole, like from the start. We don't embrace that we're going to have pain, and that pain is one of our greatest teachers. We're going to have those things that we hate that become our superpower if we are able to alchemize that, understand it. And people say like, oh, it's everything's good and all's well and all's God and this and that. And it's like, but most people are not living from that place. We're not living from that place. And that's one of the key compass guiding points for us is if we see all as well or all as God or whatever you want to call that for yourself, then we start seeing little synchronicities of how our life unfolds. We stop
Mm,
rejecting, or as the Buddhists say, the root of all suffering is one thing, resistance.
mm-hmm.
If we
Right.
stop resisting, then we start seeing the web and like the different recipe of how our life is coming together. So that root chakra is like a complete embracing of this human experience in your physical body and everything that is being human. When you stop rejecting that or rejecting other people's version of what their truth is, whew, you get a lot of freedom.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, go ahead,
I
go ahead.
no, I because one of the reason I was drawn to the Giving Tree is because you taught about chakra and this like such a beautiful full circle moment for me right now.
I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
The chakras are amazing, and that's why I'm really excited for people to get this book too, because I feel like a lot of people, you know me as a teacher, you've known me very intimately as a teacher, going through teacher training, and I don't like to dress things up because I think that things should be very accessible. And as a teacher, it's my job, it's your job as a teacher as well, to bring it down or bring it to a certain level of understanding, not like because they're dumb, but they're speaking in a certain way. So it's interpreting a different language of how to speak to a student so that they can come to it, they can tether to it in their unique way rather than putting you on a pedestal or idolizing
Mm-hmm.
you, because the second any teacher does that, they paralyze their students' ability to expand and grow. And man, the chakras, I feel like, are ultimate expansion if we are able to understand them on a practical way, not just like a woo woo feel good way, because it's all scientific, it's all rooted in vibration. And now we can measure all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I personally think of a lot more creative folks, artistic folks, which tap into that,
Yeah.
because there's so much like, especially for the visual people. Like I'm visual, so like just being able to relate to the color in the creative space, I think that's so much more playfulness
Yeah.
that people can tap into.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I used to think that that was like oh, how cute, they're rainbow, like rainbow colors, like, like not realizing that it was frequency related, that we have a really slow, dense frequency in our root chakra and then a really high
Right.
frequency of the violet on the color spectrum. We learned that in elementary science, and
Absolutely.
it's so beautiful. The more we really understand and this beautiful environment, this beautiful world that we live in, things just start making sense. And we look to nature and we go, oh, that's what I should be doing. And we learn
Right.
those deep lessons. Oh, wait, hold on. Blessings to you both. I love Yuko's heart of service and how just genuinely shows up
Hmm.
consistently as love. Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I
Love you,
couldn't.
Am.
You're like a heart on legs, girl. That's just who
I
you are.
appreciate that. I appreciate that so much.
So, okay, so my last question for you in this is I want you to kind of share with us storytelling. It's so powerful. It's the way that we communicate wisdom. This is the way that since indigenous times we have passed on lessons, wisdom, history, and if we forget history, we're repeating it, right? So we
Right.
want to ensure that's why there's a lot of journaling prompts throughout the book, because if we don't have things out of our heads and onto paper or on the stage with a one woman show like you did, then we can forget. We can really easily forget what we've overcome. And that was the whole reason I created this book originally. It wasn't, I didn't even know it was going to be a book, but I reached out to all of you and said, we really need to focus on what we've overcome already because fear is consuming everyone, and fear is the worst thing we can do for our immune system. So, if we're just focusing on stress and fear and worry and doubt and, end of the world kind of energy, we're completely out of touch with our alignment. And
Right.
so asking about storytelling, a lot of the authors have shared just what the process was like for them. And I would just want you to share what your process was like.
Yeah, the storytelling process. I love that because the my straight answer is it's different all the time. It is
Right.
different all the time.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that I'm really being mindful about recently is that the storytelling is a gift. And especially
Yeah.
for the women or people who are of color, people who have been historically oppressed, just the fact that you are taking up a space or sharing something that could actually, that on its own, it's a huge thing, right? But if you are taking up story, like you really see it as a gift, because people don't understand what's going on in your head. People don't understand what your background is. People don't understand when you say healing, what does that exactly mean?
Hmm.
So there are a lot of assumptions that we have on our experience. So when, like, I want all of us to really be generous about storytelling. How cool is that we get to actually describe the world we live in, like
Yeah.
all the details, the people's name, what the temperature was like, all the five senses we are able to
Mm.
activate and create the space and invite the people into that experience. That is a super generous gift, and we often forget that. So it is not about taking up too much space. It really is about helping people imagine and re-embody and or even to see the future and possibility and being in that space with you. I think that's such a beautiful invitation for anybody who would going to listen to your story or read your story or see your story.
Yeah.
It is a gift. It is a truly a beautiful gift, and general storytelling is not taking up too much of your time or too much of other people's time.
Mm-mm.
It is about sharing experience.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that was so beautiful. Because we watch stories on our televisions or our computers all the time, other people's stories through the entertainment we're watching. But I feel like sometimes that keeps us from really embracing our own story because we're in the comparison or the judgment or the negative mindset. And this was the way that we educated and entertained around fires and together in the community and sitting there. I mean, it's what we do at the women's circle every month. It's the opportunity to share wisdom and share struggle and commonality, so that the dedication in this book, the first thing is I say is like, you're not alone, like this, not even close. And for so many people who have struggled with depression and suicide, especially in the last 2 years, it's because we are cut off for addiction. We're cut off from intimacy with others. And yeah, I feel so blessed that I have you in my life and the other authors who contributed this book, and just people who are willing to, I said this yesterday, people who are willing to look bad, people who are willing to kind of like expose themselves, and say, yeah, this is what I went through. And this is like, it's not easy to say, I hated myself. But how many people can relate to that? Because we're inundated with 4,000 images a day from marketing of what we should be or what's wrong with us. Like, this is what we're battling on a conscious level. If we're not consciously building that and battling that and really letting go of all the other stuff that we're inundated with, how are we going to fight? How are we going to win that? So, yeah. So, thank you, Yuko.
Of
Anything else?
course. I think
Yeah,
one last thing I want to share is,
please.
like you said, courage, right? And courage and willingness.
Yeah.
Like, and that was one of my piece too. You can be surrounded by so many people. You can be attending your circle every week, every month, but you can still feel like you don't belong there. And
Yeah.
sometimes it takes one person or one, or one exchange. Maybe that's the person, you look into their eyes and say, hi, how are you? And so if you can be that person, it's like maybe you can say hi to this person and just create an invitation for them, like, because how we think safe place might be different from how other people feel safe, but
Hmm.
we can always offer an invitation. So
Yeah,
I would
beautiful.
love for people to be a door opener as opposed to gatekeeper. I want us to be a door opener
Nice.
and invitation spreader.
Yeah. And I love that you said too there, like that you see somebody. Like that's one of the most generous things we can do for each other is like, hey, I see you. I see you. Like I want to learn from you, like seek to understand the other person. And then we feel received. We feel like we belong. Because we're not trying to measure out what we think about ourselves in our own head with what's out there. We just show up in our uniqueness. And you're one of the most unique individuals I know, Yuko. How do they find you? Give them handles and information.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're on Instagram Live, you can just follow the history. I am at Yuko. It's Love Live Life. Yuko is Love Live Life. That's me as a personal. And if you are going to check my other work, I am on Untapped underscore storytellers with S, the plural, Untapped underscore storytellers, and you can find me there. And my website is also very simple. Yuko, it's lovelivelife.com. Love and live your life, everyone.
Woohoo! Yeah, so beautiful. What a simple message, but so profound. So thank you for joining me, my dear friend, and I hope to see you
Thank
really
you.
soon, even though it was just less than 24 hours ago.
Thank you so much, Margaret. It's been such an honor. And thank you for
Absolutely.
creating all these space for everyone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's been a joy. I had no idea what this project would turn into, but seeing it in fruition last night and everybody starting to sign each other's books and
Oh my
oh, that was
God.
so
That's so
special last
lovely.
night. If it almost felt like a high school graduation where everybody's like,
Yeah,
I
that's what
see
we're
you.
saying.
Yeah, right, right. I was like, wow, this is so cool. I didn't even anticipate that. So that was really, really cool. So thank you, babe. Thank you guys for
Thank
watching.
you.
And I'll see you real soon, Yuko. Love you
All
so
right.
much, sister. Mwah.
Love you too.
All right, bye.